I made the dumbest, most detrimental decision of my life last year. I'm a female and at the time was 16 with very low self-esteem. I admit it was a rough year for me last year and I craved attention badly. I didn't have a legitimate father figure growing up and was in a constant power struggle with my mother. This initiated me lashing out and, well, doing incredibly stupid shit. The worst of my decisions came during Christmas break. I had just ended my time as a waitress at a local diner and was confined to my room for several days after being grounded. Well, technically I was grounded from leaving my house, but staying in my room was my choice. I would entertain myself with social media, Twitter mainly, but I would also use dating sites to ease the boredom. Tinder was definitely the most fun. I admit I lied about my age so that I could use the app, but I clarified that I was only 16 in the bio section. I was extremely picky, swiping right on only about 1 out of every 20 guys. I didn't give the ones I chose much thought. Some of them messaged me and some didn't. I had a lot of short-lived, senseless conversations that led to nothing. That was until I met this man named Zach. He was 25, or so he said, and was actually very attractive. He messaged me a cheesy pickup line and we flirted back and forth for a while. Eventually, he asked for my number and of course I didn't hesitate. I gave it to him and we texted that entire night. The conversation was casual. He had trouble spelling out words and his grammar was horrendous, but honestly, I found it kinda cute. It was around 3 a.m. when I decided to pass out, leaving him and everyone else I was communicating with hanging. Being that it was super late, I figured they would understand and know that I had fallen asleep. This was not the case. When I woke up that morning, around 11 a.m., I had 12 missed calls, 3 or 4 voicemails, and 10 or so text messages, all from Zach. He seemed like a decent, mild-mannered man when texting, but this was not the case when I read his messages and listened to his voicemails. I had never in my life heard or read such disgusting, threatening language. And it came out of nowhere. He said a lot of things, but I'll share the worst of it with you. The last message he sent me read as follows. "Okay, cunt, since you want to ignore me like a bitch, then I'll treat you like one. When I see you, I'll show you how much I hate being ignored. Have you ever had a broken jaw? It hurts, and I can't wait to shove myself in your bloody mouth." Yeah, vile shit, man. Excuse the spelling and grammar of the screenshot. Like I said, he was really bad at those things. I immediately blocked him and didn't even bother texting back. I deleted the messages and voicemails and just tried to forget the whole thing. I didn't tell anyone, especially not my mother. I would have for sure had my phone taken away. 2 days passed and nothing had changed. I was still locked away in the house, being a bed bum in my room. It was late, everyone was asleep, and I was once again bored out of my mind. I was thinking about the whole Zach ordeal when suddenly I had an oh shit moment. I had blocked him from everything besides the very place I met him, Tinder. I had notifications for that app turned off, so I had completely forgotten about it. I logged back on, and sure enough, it was riddled with messages from Zach. I wasn't even going to open them, but the first several words from the thread caught my eye. He was talking about how he knew where I lived and that he was standing outside my house. He even mentioned the house being 2 stories. This could have been a good guess. I mean, a lot of houses are 2 stories, but what shook me at my core and sunk my stomach was his location. When I first matched him, he was 30 or so miles away. But now it said he was less than a mile away. I lost my shit and quickly deleted him and my Tinder account immediately. I regret this now because I didn't think to screenshot it for evidence or whatever. I was still too stupid and scared to tell anyone. I spent that entire night peeking out of my window and even let one of our outside blue healers sleep in my room. I was scared to the point of nausea. I stayed awake until dawn, so I slept until around 3 p.m. When I went downstairs, my mother had spine-chilling news for me. She told me that a man came to the door asking for me and said that he knew me from church. I didn't even attend church at the time. My mother, thank God, very smartly told him that he had the wrong house, and then contacted the police and gave a description. She didn't bother waking me because she thought and still thinks that the man was just a random creeper and that I had no knowledge of him. She said that he asked for her daughter rather than saying my name. If it was indeed Zach, I had no idea and still have no idea how he found me. It was the longest month of my life before I moved to live with my older sister. The only vague possible sign of Zach that I saw was an old junky green car that often drove down our street. It most likely wasn't him, but my nerves told me otherwise. This whole situation still gives me nightmare fuel, and I haven't used Tinder since. To all you girls out there, and even guys, please be careful when using social media apps and speaking with strangers. You never truly know who you're talking to.